Breaking. Queen Camilla has just been caught on tape slamming Labour leadership in the most shocking royal intervention of the decade. Within hours, Starmer demanded an unprecedented public apology from the palace. The recording has already destroyed decades of carefully maintained royal neutrality. Buckingham Palace officials are in complete panic mode. 3 senior staff members have already resigned. And what happened next could permanently damage the relationship between the monarchy and government forever. If you want to see how this constitutional crisis unfolds, hit subscribe now, because what happens next will determine the future of Britain's monarchy. Here's what sparked this unprecedented royal scandal. Just yesterday afternoon, Queen Camilla attended a private charity luncheon at the Dorchester Hotel in Mayfair. What was supposed to be a discreet fundraiser for veterans' mental health quickly turned into something far more explosive. The event was closed to press. No recording devices were permitted. Only 30 carefully selected guests were in attendance. Her Majesty believes she was speaking in complete confidence to loyal supporters of the Crown, but someone at that table was secretly recording everything. And at precisely 2:17 p.m, the Queen made comments about the current government that have sent shockwaves through Westminster and beyond. The recording was leaked to the Telegraph at 8:30 p.m. last night. By midnight, it had spread across every major news outlet in Britain. The BBC interrupted regular programming to broadcast a special report. Sky News ran continuous coverage through the early hours. On the recording, Queen Camilla can be heard clearly criticising Labour's latest budget proposal. This government seems determined to destroy everything that makes Britain great. She says in a voice unmistakably hers, their economic policies aren't just misguided, they're actively harmful to the very people they claim to represent. But she didn't stop there, the Queen continued, her voice becoming more passionate. The Prime Minister talks about helping working families while implementing policies that do precisely the opposite. It's either remarkable incompetence or deliberate deception. I'm not sure which is worse. Several guests can be heard murmuring in agreement. One male voice says, "Quite right, Your Majesty." Then Camilla delivers the line that has caused the greatest controversy. "Charles and I have watched with growing dismay. Frankly, I've never seen a government so disconnected from the realities facing ordinary British people." Royal protocol experts describe these comments as extraordinary and unprecedented. The monarchy's political neutrality has been a cornerstone of Britain's constitutional arrangement for centuries. Royal family members simply do not express partisan political opinions publicly. They certainly don't directly criticise sitting governments. Within minutes of the recording being published, the Prime Minister was informed while attending a climate summit in Edinburgh. Witnesses report that Keir Starmer's face visibly paled. He immediately excused himself from the conference, cancelling his keynote address scheduled for the following morning. At 10:37 p.m, Downing Street released a terse statement. The Prime Minister has requested an immediate audience with His Majesty the King to discuss comments made by the Queen Consort. "We expect a full explanation and appropriate response from the palace." Sources inside Number 10 describe Starmer as incandescent with rage. One senior aide, speaking on condition of anonymity, "I've never seen him like this. He was pacing the room, repeatedly saying, 'This cannot stand. This absolutely cannot stand.'" By 11:15 p.m, the Prime Minister had issued a more forceful statement personally. In a democratic society, the constitutional role of the monarchy requires absolute political neutrality. Today's comments represent a serious breach of that principle. "I have requested an immediate and public apology from Her Majesty." The demand for a public apology from a royal is without modern precedent. No British Prime Minister has ever publicly demanded that a member of the royal family apologise for their comments. The situation has created a constitutional crisis that legal experts are struggling to navigate. Meanwhile, ordinary British citizens who have long supported the royal family through decades of service are watching in disbelief as their Queen faces unprecedented public criticism from the government. Mary Jameson, a 72-year-old pensioner from Devon, stood outside Buckingham Palace this morning, holding a homemade sign reading "God Save Our Queen." She told reporters through tears, Camilla only said what millions of us are thinking. These politicians don't understand how hard things are for regular people. All across Britain, similar scenes are playing out. In Manchester, Birmingham and Newcastle, spontaneous gatherings have formed in support of the Queen. Social media is flooded with the hashtag number I stand with Camilla, which has been used over 2 million times in the last 12 hours. While Starmer and his cabinet rage against what they call unconstitutional interference, King Charles maintains complete public silence. Palace officials have issued only the briefest statement. We are aware of the recording and are investigating the circumstances of its creation and distribution. We're talking about a complete breakdown in the delicate relationship between Crown and government. On one side, a furious Prime Minister demanding an unprecedented royal apology. On the other, a monarchy suddenly thrust into the political spotlight against centuries of tradition. The contrast is so stark, so unprecedented, that even staunch Republicans are uncomfortable with how the situation is unfolding. Professor Timothy Matthews of the London School of Economics, a known critic of the monarchy, told the BBC, "Whatever someone thinks of the institution, publicly humiliating the Queen serves no democratic purpose." This confrontational approach from the government is deeply troubling. Then something extraordinary happened that nobody saw coming. Just as the crisis reached fever pitch, the King made an unexpected move that changed everything. At precisely 9 a.m. this morning, King Charles III entered the state dining room at Buckingham Palace, flanked by senior advisors, but noticeably without Queen Camilla. The appearance was broadcast live across all major networks. His face grave, his posture rigid with tension, the King delivered what royal historians are already calling one of the most significant speeches of his reign. "For centuries," he began, "the Crown has served as a unifying symbol above the necessary political debates that are the lifeblood of our democracy. This separation is not a mere tradition, but a constitutional necessity." The King paused, his expression sombre. "It is therefore with deep regret that I address the nation regarding comments made by Her Majesty the Queen Consort. While her concerns for the welfare of British citizens come from a place of genuine compassion, the expression of political opinions is incompatible with our role. Palace insiders reveal that this speech was written by the King himself, without the usual input from government officials who typically review royal addresses. This departure from protocol itself speaks volumes about the severity of the situation. I have spoken with the Prime Minister," the King continued, "and expressed our sincere regret for any breach of constitutional boundaries." The Queen Consort joins me in this sentiment. But constitutional experts immediately noted what the King did not say. There was no explicit apology, no admission of wrongdoing, and certainly no capitulation to Starmer's demand for a public apology from Camilla herself. The optics were masterful. The King acknowledged the issue without surrendering royal dignity. He expressed regret without placing blame. And crucially, he prevented the Prime Minister from escalating further without losing face. Royal historian Dr. Eleanor Worthington called it a perfect example of why the monarchy has survived for a millennium. Charles demonstrated precisely why we have a head of state above politics, to diffuse tensions rather than inflame them. Within hours of the King's statement, the political landscape transformed dramatically. Labour MPs who had been vocally critical of the Queen suddenly found themselves facing intense backlash. The YouGov polling was devastating. 68% of Britons believed Starmer had overreacted to the Queen's comments. More concerning for the government, 57% said they agreed with the substance of what Camilla had said about economic policies. In traditional Labour strongholds like South Wales and Northern England, support plummeted overnight. A snap poll in Hartlepool showed Labour down 14 points in a single day. The international reaction was equally damaging. French President Macron expressed concern about the treatment of Her Majesty. Canadian Prime Minister Trudeau carefully emphasised his nation's deep respect for the Crown. Even President Harris of the United States remarked that allies should resolve constitutional questions with appropriate dignity. Social media exploded with support for the Queen. The hashtag number Camilla was right trended globally, with millions of posts featuring photographs of struggling families, closed businesses and economic hardship. One viral tweet read, "When politicians fail us, at least our Queen sees our suffering." The market reaction was swift and brutal. The pound sterling dropped 3% against the dollar in morning trading. The FTSE 100 fell by nearly 200 points. Economic analysts warned that political instability could threaten already fragile consumer confidence. Inside Downing Street, what began as righteous indignation quickly turned to panic. Cabinet WhatsApp messages leaked to The Guardian revealed ministers deeply divided over Starmer's approach. "We've walked into a trap," wrote one cabinet secretary. "The public sees us attacking a 7-year-old woman for caring about their problems. This is political suicide." Home Secretary Yvette Cooper reportedly urged immediate de-escalation. "We need to accept the King's statement and move on before this consumes our entire agenda," she wrote. The longer this continues, the more damage to the party. Chancellor Rachel Reeves was blunter still. "The numbers are catastrophic. We're hemorrhaging support by the hour. Nobody cares about constitutional niceties when they can't afford their heating bill," but sources close to Starmer describe him as unmovable on the issue. During an emergency cabinet meeting at 1:30 p.m, the Prime Minister reportedly slammed his hand on the table and declared, "This is about principles. The monarchy cannot be allowed to interfere in policy. I will not back down." 3 junior ministers have already submitted resignation letters, according to Westminster sources. Each cited concerns about the handling of the royal situation as their primary reason for stepping down. More concerning for Starmer, Deputy Prime Minister Angela Rayner has been conspicuously silent. She cancelled 2 scheduled media appearances and declined to sign the joint statement supporting the Prime Minister's position. Her absence speaks volumes. Westminster insiders confirm that Rayner is already speaking with backbenchers about a potential leadership challenge. "The numbers are there if she wants it," said one Labour MP who requested anonymity. "Many of us think this has been catastrophically mishandled." Across the aisle, the opposition has seized the moment with ruthless efficiency. Conservative leader Rishi Sunak stood outside Parliament at noon, flanked by his entire shadow cabinet. "When the Queen expresses concern for struggling families," he declared, "the proper response is to listen, not attack. This government would rather shoot the messenger than address the message." But here's the revelation that could permanently destroy Starmer's position. Security sources have confirmed to The Times that the secret recording of the Queen was made by a Labour Party donor who had infiltrated the charity event specifically to capture her comments. If these reports are accurate, and if they confirm what multiple sources now claim, then the government may have orchestrated this entire constitutional crisis. Think about what that means. A sitting government potentially sending an operative to secretly record the Queen, then expressing outrage when her private comments became public. The scandal wouldn't just be political, it would be an unprecedented breach of trust between government and monarchy. Senior civil servants are allegedly reviewing security camera footage from the Dorchester Hotel to identify exactly who recorded the Queen's conversation. 3 separate sources confirm that the individual in question has donated over £250,000 to Labour since 2022. The Metropolitan Police have opened a preliminary investigation into potential violations of the Official Secrets Act and Royal Security Protocols. Commissioner Sir Mark Rowley has been seen entering Buckingham Palace twice in the past 24 hours. The ramifications would be catastrophic for Labour if proven true. Constitutional expert Professor Vernon Bogdanor of King's College London called it potentially the most serious breach of constitutional norms in modern British history. Meanwhile, opposition parties are positioning themselves as defenders of both the monarchy and the ordinary citizens Camilla spoke about. While Starmer fumes and Labour fractures, Conservative leader Rishi Sunak has adopted a tone of statesmanlike concern. "This unfortunate episode reveals something important," he told reporters outside his constituency office. "The government has lost touch not just with the British people, but with our most fundamental institutions." Liberal Democrat leader Ed Davey struck a similar note. The Queen's comments, while constitutionally problematic, clearly come from genuine concern for struggling families. The government's hysterical reaction suggests they're more worried about criticism than addressing the underlying economic problems. The polls tell the devastating story for Labour. After enjoying a 12-point lead just 2 days ago, the party now trails the Conservatives by 3 points. More concerning, their support among women over 65, a demographic where the Queen is particularly popular, has collapsed by nearly 30 percentage points. For the first time since taking office, Starmer's personal approval rating has fallen below 30%. The hashtag number Starmer out has been used over 3 million times in 24 hours. Labour isn't just facing a temporary setback, they're witnessing the potential collapse of their governing majority. The next 48 hours are critical. Palace sources hint at an imminent statement from Queen Camilla herself. Government insiders suggest Starmer is considering a major cabinet reshuffle to regain control. Conservative strategists are reportedly preparing for a potential vote of no confidence. The question is no longer whether the Queen's comments were appropriate. It's whether the government's response has permanently damaged their relationship with both the monarchy and the British public. Britain is witnessing a constitutional showdown not seen since the abdication crisis of 1936. This conflict will be studied for decades as the moment when modern Britain was forced to reconsider the delicate balance between elected officials and hereditary monarchy. At its centre stands Queen Camilla, who has transformed overnight from a once controversial figure to a surprising champion of ordinary people's concerns. And facing her, a Prime Minister who appears increasingly isolated, defensive and out of touch with public sentiment. History suggests that when Prime Ministers clash with popular royals, it's rarely the politicians who emerge victorious. So here's the question that matters. Did Starmer just destroy his political career by demanding an apology from the Queen? Or did Camilla accidentally expose the growing divide between Westminster politics and the real concerns of ordinary Britons? What do you think? Was the Queen right to speak out about economic hardship, or should the monarchy always remain silent regardless of circumstances? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We read every single one. And if this constitutional crisis shocked you as much as it shocked us, share this video with everyone who needs to see what's really happening between Buckingham Palace and Downing Street right now. The mainstream media won't show you the full picture, but we will. Next week, we'll reveal the exclusive details of what really happened in the emergency Privy Council meeting that followed this scandal, information that could change how you view British politics forever.